Good morning to all great people over the world. I continue my historical videos. Probably I have no very good preparation because it's need time. But before the war, I was reading a book, Kyiv Princess. It was written by Ukrainian poet Zagrebelny. Ukrainian writer Zagrebelny. He told about destiny, about tragical destiny of the Kyiv princess who married to German Emperor Henry IV, and unfortunately this marriage was not very happy. So I read this book, I was impressed by this, and I wanted to tell you about this story, but unfortunately it's interrupted. But I always keep thinking about Kyiv Princess. By the way, this is this lady. And at least today I prepare for you this speech. So, who was this woman? Kyiv Princess was the daughter of Kyiv Prince Vsevolod. Actually, she lived in the second part of the 11th century. She was born in 1071, and unfortunately she lived just for 38 years. So she was quite young when she died. He died in 1109. Eupraxia was the granddaughter of Prince Yaroslav the Wise, the great prince of Kiev Rus who united all our state. But after he died, he left three sons, Iziaslav, Vsevolod and Sviatoslav. And the great king of Kiev became Iziaslav because he was the oldest one. But Iziaslav, all the time he was arguing with his brother, and at least one of his cousin started to fight against him. So Iziaslav must to run away to Western Europe. He stayed in Western Europe there for a rather long time. He stayed in Poland because his wife was from Poland. Then he moved to Germany and tried to make agreement with Henry IV, but it was unfortunate. And after he moved to Pope, to Roman Pope Gregory VII, and all the time he was running there in Western Europe. You know, his destiny was like destiny of some refugees. But at least his brother started to feel sorrow about him, and they invited him back to Kiev. So Iziaslav back to Kiev, but not for so long time. He helped to his brother Sviatoslav fight against Polovtsi, and unfortunately he died on the field, on the military field. Such was his destiny. That is why the Kievan throne was took over by the next brother, Vsevolod. This brother was quite wise. He had two wives. First, his wife was probably Polovetska princess. Polovtsi, it was nomad tribes who lived nearby Kiev Rus, but sometimes they had friendly relation. So he took this wife, and from this wife he got his first daughter, and this daughter was Eupraxia. His second wife was, after his Polovetska princess died, his first wife died, he took as wife his second wife. It was a Byzantine princess. She was noble and she was gorgeous. And from this princess he got son. It was Vladimir Monomachovich was known after. It was famous, very famous prince who took the throne. He became Kievan prince after his father. Also, he got second daughter. It was Anna. This daughter was engaged with Byzantine princess, but unfortunately, this princess died on the military field, and she became nun. She created monastery, nanny monastery in Kyiv, and it became very famous. She teach how to write and read in this monastery. So she was rather famous. But about Eupraxia, there are no many information. As we know, Eupraxia was engaged with Saxon nobleman, aristocratic, yes, when she was just 12 years old. She was just a child then when she needed to leave her motherland and move to Germany. You can see, you can see Eupraxia go by camel. Some German chronologists told that she moved to Germany with very many presents. She was very luxury. She had many horses, she had many camels, she had many warriors nearby her. She was rather rich for that time, so she moved to Saxony. Saxony was in that time it became one of the provinces of the Holy Roman Empire, but from the old time Saxons were quite independent. Saxons came from the old German tribes. They were Germans, yeah, and they were rather wild. They like fighting. In time when they served for Roman Empire, they became more civilized, but nevertheless, German emperor should to take much force for take them in the empire. So, what Henry IV did, he built cities. He built castles in the Saxony in order to make it his own province. He made this such gorgeous big castle. By the way, this castle is in Quedlinburg. I don't know if it's original, probably reconstructed, because in the Second World War many of these castles were destroyed. As you know, the capital of the Saxony is Dresden, and Dresden was completely destroyed by Americans, I don't know, by Soviets in the time when they moved to Germany. So Eupraxia was engaged with local prince. His name was also Henry. But he could not marry Eupraxia straight away. He need to wait when she became adult, when she will be 80 years old. That is why Eupraxia was sent to this church, to this monastery in Quedlinburg. And she stayed there for a long time. Her mate Henry, unfortunately, probably fortunately for Eupraxia, he became ill. Probably he was fighting somewhere and he became ill, and he died soon. So Eupraxia stayed in this monastery. She didn't come back to his palace. Chief of this monastery was in that time the sister of Henry IV, the Emperor of Rome. Probably when Henry IV came to visit his sister, he met there Eupraxia. As Ukrainian writer Zakrebenin told, they fell in love with each other. I don't know exactly, because Chronicle told nothing about this. Yes, she was rather educated. She know different languages. And who was Gendry? Gendry the Fourth was a rather controversial person. He was born when his father, Gendry III, was very old, and he was close to die. When he probably was 5 years old, his father died. That is why his mother, Matilda Agnesa, took care about him. But Matilda was not very good in state stuff. She was not very good in control empire, and slowly some nobles tried to took the power from Matilda. One of these person was bishop. I forgot his name. So he once he came to Henry IV and invited him to his ship. He took him to the ship and captured him. He took him away from his mother. So he became like the supervisor of the emperor. That is why Henry IV, he had a rather difficult destiny from the beginning, because he was taken away from his mother. He was taken care by noble person, by bishop, after he take away from him by another nobleman. So one of his supervisor treated him very bad. He was very strict to him. Other supervision was very loyal and let him everything to do everything. So that is why from the young time he was spoiled, as many historians told. From the 6 years old, Henry IV was engaged with Bertha. It was also princess, and he must marry with Bertha, although he didn't want this marriage. So this is emperor. Henry IV was controversial because he first of all he took care about cities. He wanted to get a support from the cities, and he took care, as people told, he took care about the poor, about poor people. He make administration from the not very aristocratic people. That is why the top of aristocracy didn't like him. He for all his life he fight against different land. He fought against Saxony, and that is why probably he married Eupraxia, because she was from that time when her husband died. She represent the woman from this land. So he married to Eupraxia, and probably in that way he wanted to get support from Saxony, and he also wanted to get support from Kyiv Prince. Also about Henry IV, what we knew about him, he was in very bad relation with Roman Pope. Gregory VII. Gregory VII wanted to control everything. He wanted to control bishops. In the time on Henry IV, all bishops were chosen by emperor. Gregory VII wanted to change the situation and wanted to control his own bishop. That is why he started to argue with Henry IV. And it's finished with the act when Gregory VII excommunicated Henry from Catholic Church. He cut relation, Henry IV, with the Catholic Church. It was very bad for Henry IV because according to this, nobody could communicate with him. He was alone, he stayed alone, And he was supported by some his friends, and together with his wife he walked to Italy, he walked to Canossa. That is why till now we have very old expression, walk to Canossa or road to Canossa, yes. In Canossa, there lived, in that time, there lived Pope Gregory VII. For 3 days, Henry IV, he stayed nearby castle in Canossa, and he asked Henry VII meet him, and he asked him to forgive him for his act. So Henry VII, at least, he met the emperor, and he forgive him and connect again him with Catholic Church. But Henry IV, he was, as I told, very contradictional, because in some times he started against the war against Gregory VII. He came to Italy, and he took over some cities. He took over Rome, and many Roman citizens were for Henry VII, because, as you know, he supports cities, he supports merchants. Gregory VII needed to run away to Sicilia, and at least he died there in the south of Italy. And in the time when Henry IV married with Eupraxia, there was the new pope, but Henry VII, he did not recognize the new pope, and he recognized, he chose his own pope. He is known today as anti-pope Clement III. So he married Eupraxia, and he came to the south of Germany. He stayed there, he makes some deals, but the relation with Eupraxia spoiled with her time. Eupraxia told that Henry IV, he had very bad behavior against her, to her. Eupraxia told that Henry IV had secret sex club, or like this, where he was engaged in this club with many his aristocrats, and he makes some sexual relation with different women there. She didn't like this, of course, because she have a religional background. And Eupraxia ran away to Italy. As you see from this picture, he got away from castle, and with help of some opposition to Henry IV, with help of his son, by the way, his son Conrad was against the Henry IV, she ran away to Italy, she ran away to Pope, and she told Pope about the bad behavior of Henry IV. Of course, Pope used it, and Pope called the big meeting, meeting of all bishops. In this meeting was 4,000 bishops. You understand, 4,000 people. And it was the big judgment of Henry IV. Henry IV also came to this judgment, and Eupraxia, she spoke against Henry IV in front of the many people there. Actually, she was the first woman who fought for her right. She fought for. She told that. She had the woman had the same right as a man, and Pope support her. That is why she could speak in such way. So Henry the fourth, again, he was excommunicated from the church, and till the end of his life he was excommunicated. He died without any religious act, and it was so bad for him. He was supported just by cities, and he was born in one of the cities who support Henry IV. What about Eupraxia? Eupraxia stayed not so long in Italy. He came to Hungary, and after he came back to Kyiv. So after many years she came back to Kyiv. And after her husband died, officially they were married, she could not divorce him in that time. And after he died, she became nanny in the monastery. She became nanny in the monastery where the chief was her sister Anna. So after she died when she was 38 years old. She was buried in Lavra monastery. She was buried with luxury she was buried in nearby Assumption Cathedral, and even she got her own chapel. That is why we understand that she was very respectable in the time. Probably because she helped to Pope. In that time, Christianity was not so differences as now. There was not exactly Catholic Church and Orthodox Church. Actually, in that time, still Christians were more or less united. Many Christians, they supported Papa. Also, Christians in Kiev Rus, they depend on the Patriarch of Constantinople Patriarch. So such was the story of the young girl Eupraxia, who became the Empress of Roman Empire, who spoke against her husband in the court, and at least she came back home. So thank you for watching. Okay, so a greeting from Moldova. We are here and hope I can make more video for you. Thank you for your support to Ukraine, and I hope everything will be okay. We are strong, we are united. Nevertheless, where we are in Ukraine or outside of Ukraine, unfortunately we need to be, everything will be okay. So see you next time.